its its inception was because there was this attorney in rural West River who was about 82 or 83 years old, and he retired and was the only attorney in 129 miles. And so everyone in that area had to either drive to Rapid City or Pierre for any kind of legal representation. So it was a huge need for the state of South Dakota. And when the Chief Justice, at the time, Chief Justice Gilbertson, became aware of that issue, he and some other bar leaders put together this program and got it passed through the legislature. So it's very similar to the physician recruitment program for rural areas, and I don't know if you're or if you know about that, but it's this one is a 5-year program, and an attorney will contract with UJS, the state bar, and whatever county that they're going to practice in for 5 years. And in exchange, the attorney will receive $12,500, a little over $12,500 per year, totaling about $62,000 to $63,000 for the total of 5 years. And so the requirements of the county will be that the population has to be 10,000 or less. And if the county does not qualify, then towns can qualify that are under 3,500 or less. So it's a great opportunity for anybody that's thinking about maybe going back to their, if they're from a small town, go back to their small town and practice, or if you prefer smaller communities, to go out and practice. Throughout the state, there is about 65% of attorneys practice in Sioux Falls, Rapid City, Pierre, and Aberdeen. So it's a huge need, and there's plenty of legal deserts all over the state. Of the 61 counties that we have in South Dakota, 48 are considered rural. So there is plenty of need for rural attorneys out there, and we would love to have anybody. If you ever want to, I know that you have a few more years left before becoming attorneys, but if you ever want to talk to me about any plan, and we can kind of hopefully devise some kind of plan together for when you become an attorney. So if there's any questions for me, I'm Mackenzie.
Hi, Carrie. I have a couple of questions, if you
Sure.
don't mind. First of all, what are the areas of law that people who go into this program are most likely to practice?
Sure. So it seems like the majority of the attorneys that have been in the program so far have had mostly a general practice. There are a lot that are part-time state's attorneys, and then they have their own private practice, or vice versa, part-time defense attorneys, and then they'll have a civil practice as well. There are a few that I've encountered that have niche areas. Say they work with a lot of farmland, and they've kind of created their own little niche. And so really it's up to you. And, you know, the $12,500 that you get per year, that's, you can use that for whatever. It doesn't have to be for student loans. It could be, but it could be used for whatever you'd like for your discretion.
Okay, sure. And then second of all, why is it important for undergrad students to know about this and for student representatives to be getting the word out about this to undergrad students?
Great question. It's important because, first of all, if you are thinking about going to rural practice after law school, it would be really beneficial for you to look for interns in those rural areas that you're thinking about. And that's also something that I can help you out with. There is a program through the state bar to incentivize intern students to practice at rural law firm. And another great thing about that to think about, if you do want to go back to a rural area, there are a lot of attorneys right now in those rural areas that are looking and thinking about retirement or near the retirement age. And so one of the, I think would be a preferable option for new attorneys would be to join an attorney, that's nearing retirement age, so then they can train you while they phase out, and then you take over the law practice. So then you'd have an established law practice.
Great, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for me?
Is there an online website or destination that
Yes. And I have some material. I probably don't have enough for everyone, so I'll just leave it out. And if anyone, I could leave it right there. If anyone wants to take out, I have a little flyer, and then I have a map that shows where all the rural counties are. And then I have my business cards. So you can always call me, email me. Yeah, the email's on the flyer, ujs.sd.gov. And it's under the Rural Attorney Recruitment Program. And so there's a lot more information available on the website too. And also to add, we have 32 spots, and currently we have only 12 in the program. So we have 20 available, and that kind of seems like the trend. So there should be spots for those that, when they become licensed. Unless I do too good of a job and recruit people. Oh, thank you. All right, thanks everyone. Thank you, Mackenzie.
All right, moving to open forum, item C, we'll have Noah Johnson, the Vice President of the Residence Hall Association, come present to us.
Good evening. We're good. Volume-wise? Perfect. I'm Noah. I am the Vice President of the Residence Hall Association here on campus, and I did present a lengthy paper. If you actually read it, I apologize for your time. But in addition, I like to just give you a few minutes of what I want to say, and then also give you an open floor to talk about, or I guess ask questions of me in that regard. First off, the Residence Hall Association. If you've lived on campus, fun fact, you've been a part of it. The Residence Hall Association represents residents on campus. Pretty self-explanatory. And it focuses a lot on trying to improve the circumstances for residents. As I like to say within our business, we are the biggest advocate for residents at this institution. And as such, we represent almost all of the, we do represent all of the residents. And we want to make sure that their voices are heard. We're asking for an ex officio position so we can try and establish that for future continuity. As has been talked about previously, we've had a former ex officio position. However, we lost that when our meeting times overlapped. This year, we meet at 5:30. So I just came from that meeting and now I'm here. So we can have a lot more of an availability with this and we can reestablish our connection. We feel that there's a really dire need for a connection between these things, especially over two areas. One, the state legislature has been talking a lot about housing, and that's really important. And we want to make sure that residents are heard within that. We really want to emphasize that we represent the residents and that we are doing our very best to make sure that they are represented to everyone else. We want to make sure that happens even at a more upper level division, which we feel would happen with an ex officio here. Secondly, we also advocate for residents just to make their lives better. And you might notice that halls might have problems, especially the few of you that were living in halls recently or live in halls now. We try to make sure that we can improve halls and we give funds to halls to make sure that they can improve themselves. We also put on a few programs. Overall, we're a very active organization that focuses on trying to better the living experience for residents. And arguably, actually not even arguably, you want to do that for residents. We want to make sure that residents have the best experience, that they want to stay here, and that we want to continue to improve lives for everyone. As such, we feel like Residence Hall Association deserves their ex officio position, and we feel like that would be a great way to accurately represent and have our voice and the residents' voices be heard on a specifically designated level. Yeah, I go into more detail within the paper a lot more detail. But I'm open to questions if anyone has that, to not take more of your time.
Just a quick question. Out of curiosity, how do you communicate with the residents to see like what they want or need? Is that through hall government?
Perfect. Yeah, we work a lot with hall governments. I didn't even touch on that here. All hall governments are like given the position to have an RHA liaison. So they attend RHA meetings, and they actually have the majority of the vote in RHA meetings. So if all halls have representatives, they can overpower that. We're additionally talking specifically this year, a new change, fun fact, to add more town halls in to allow residents to directly express their opinions to the Residents Hall Association, who in turn can express that to HRL. We really want to make sure that residents have their voices heard. And even in years past, while they have been heard, we just don't feel like they've been heard on the level that we would like expect for them to be heard. And so this year especially, we're trying to make bigger and better improvements. And part of that would be like the town halls. And part of that is with expecting halls to have like all governments that eventually lead right to us.
How many halls are current active voting members on the RHA board?
Currently, we had 4 halls attend tonight's meeting. Of the current 10 grouped together, there's been an interestingly like lack of civic engagement within these halls, specifically talking about not wanting to like form a hall government, because only one has a functioning hall government, but also that might just because RHGs aren't like communicating back with us. So, yeah.
As the past Jacobin Village president, do you guys have any current strategies to address that issue? And if so, or if not, are you willing to explore some more?
Yeah, we haven't talked a lot. We haven't talked a lot about trying to like engage with it, because right now within the first few weeks, a lot of it is just generally like disconnect between us and who we can even communicate with. Like, we don't know who we can talk to, because if we just start blanket emailing people, people don't look at their emails because you don't want to get bombarded with emails. So if we just blanket email people, we don't get responses. We tried to make more direct emails, but the problem is we don't know who to direct those emails to. And it's just a disconnect between us, RHGs, and the people that they're trying to talk to. We've been trying to communicate. We haven't gotten a great response out of it, but we feel that as time goes on, and especially with an ex officio position, we have a really central, like, this is who you can go to for these problems. These are the people you can talk to about this. It gives us better representation to allow us to better represent them.
Past hall government person here too, and obviously, you know, can't make it a commitment for people that you don't know that are gonna be on RHA next year, but how can we, and not gonna hold your feet to the fire, but how can we make sure that like we're not coming back through this process again next year when you set a meeting time, right? Because I think the last thing that anybody wants to do here is for this to be a perpetuated process where every other year RHA is coming back before to get back on the Senate. So is there some commitment there that can be passed down from, right, this administration of RHA to the next to say like, hey, this is something that we're committed to. We're not gonna schedule our meetings over this just so it's not a continual, you know, every 2 or 3 years RHA is coming back to replace that seat.
We can work on that. Okay, I'm gonna give you a bit more of like an inside look into RHA. The problem with residence halls on our campus specifically compared to other universities outside of South Dakota, most people only live in like our residence halls for 2 years, and then they dip as soon as possible, get off to another location. That leads to really poor turnover within our organization because the people who are at the top are often unable or don't stay there that very long. They go off campus and they'll go off to other things. We're going to enshrine this into our Constitution. We're going to continue to talk about it. And I feel that, especially this year, if we talk more and more about how Residence Hall Association is impactful, and especially how it's impactful within the SA or relationship, we institutionalize it within the organization. In the past, at least, I can't speak much for it because we never talked about it. I guess it may have been in our Constitution in like 2022, but that's not like, it's not clear. We don't talk about it. That's because we didn't like care about our representation here. I feel like you've probably picked up on this. I'm pretty passionate about being here and being on the stage to represent residents. I want to continue to support that, and I believe that with the passion we show, and specifically with the results we will show if we have a ex officio position here, showing how we can be connected in things, it's going to establish a really tight relationship that we're never going to want to try to give up. I can't speak for like the future, obviously, and if I could, I'd love to. But Ultimately, I feel that the Residence Hall Association will eventually come around to this, and we won't have to go through the same speech of listening to someone like me talk every year. Ultimately, I think it's just a matter of like keeping it as making sure that it is part of our reforms we're making right now to make the system better than what it used to be.
Not to kind of put you on the spot, and I understand you can't really see the future, but outside of yourself, is there anybody else who would be interested in serving on an ex officio position, or are you kind of the driving force behind this?
Right now, I'm the driving force because the people that would be following me after are within their first, like, just barely past their first month of being on campus, and we met them at most today or 1 week ago. I can't say specifically that we're going to, like, I can't say that we're going to have, like, this person come follow me, but there's a really good likelihood that as we continue to go on and RHA makes differences, or actually puts themselves out there, like our first program was last. So as soon as we continue to put ourselves out there, the interest of people to inevitably become on RHA will be greater. I mean, to the same point, I can't even tell you a single individual who would want to be on RHA as a whole next year, because almost all of the people who are on it are sophomores and are going to age out pretty quickly. So I can't answer that directly, but at the same time, I will say that we get people to go through it. It becomes an institutionalized thing, and it becomes something we continue to support, especially if people want to advocate for the residents on campus or continue up the pipeline of hall government. I imagine many of you have been hall government members in the past. They continue. That's like the most natural progression, because that's the organization you go to right away. So I imagine that as time goes on and as people like find their footing on campus, we're not going to have any more problems about this.
I guess I might just need like a little. But you mentioned how 4 out of the 10 resident halls showed up. How like are all 10 like supposed like called to be at that meeting? Like, I guess how does that process work? And I guess like possibly a secondary question to that is, you know, if you don't see an increase in turnout there, how do you plan to kind of combat that and be able to effectively communicate the needs of the other 6 residence halls effectively?
I'm going to handle that like 2 parts. The first part with the like how the system works in general. We have 10 like groupings of halls based off of things, and some of them are going to be more active than others just based off of how like the people that live within those residents. Historically, Honors and Schultz has been exceptionally like active because a lot of the people in there are like notorious for being go-getters or notorious for being excessive, arguably, I say as a former member. But then other sides like West Side doesn't typically have as much engagement. And so we work on that by combining halls together and allowing them to form like a mixed matched hall government. Like for example, one of them, like we have the entire West Side, so Winetta, Meadows, and Hanson are all one big grouping. And that's just because ultimately we experienced in the past that they don't typically end up with a large turnout for their own government. And so we allow it to be like we adapt that system to what the hall is. That does result in some halls not being represented to the same capacity. Unfortunately, but the reality is that we can't, like, it's impossible for us to actually force people to, like, testify about their hall condition. We give the opportunity, and if anyone shows up to the meetings, we have open meetings. If anyone shows up to the meetings and wants to talk about their complaint about their ladybugs in their room these days, as a big one right now, they can. And so we give that, like, the floor is completely open to them, and that's how we give the representatives a voice. They have their option for public forum, I guess, or open forum, I should say, and that gives them that. How do we combat the system where we only have X amount of halls represented, and what do we do with the other Ys? The biggest thing we try to handle with that is we focus on trying to create systems that don't promote one hall specifically. So with our budget of like $22,000, $3,000 of that is designated for hall improvement. And that is designated for whenever a hall comes to us and they want to ask money of us, we can give that to them in that budgetary area. The other $19,000 cannot go to a specific hall. It is designated for residents and residents only. And so if we designate a program, we're not designating a program for Pearson. Pearson doesn't get a program just from us. Pearson's going to plan their own programs with their own hall government money, And so we allow for our programs or our events or educational ones, which I've also talked about, to be things that are entirely for the resident and not just for a specific hall. We don't really get to address the problems of halls if people don't talk about their problems. That's where we're coming into with the new ideas of these town halls, where we talk about how people will get to have their voice and have it publicly shared on a really wide open stage, not just the meeting that happens in a Jackrabbit room on the first floor on Mondays at 6 o'clock. It's a meeting that can be very public, will be more than likely on a stage. We'll iron out details, I'm sure. And if I'm an ex officio, you'll hear about it. The reality is that that's our method that we're going to focus on this year, and that's our new strategy. If that fails, we continue to try new ones. We're not going to give up or let the other halls go to disrepair because we can't find people who want to be engaged.
Other questions, Noah?
Perfect. Thank you all for listening to me ramble and then also writing ramble. I appreciate everything y'all do, and yeah, thank you all.
All right, moving on to open forum, item D, student organization constitutions. We will begin with the National Society of Black Engineers, South Dakota State University chapter.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking time out to be here today. My name is Omesha Misuanigala, and I'm representing National Society of Black Engineers. The acronym is pronounced NSBE, so that's what I'll be using for this talk. NSBE has a very proud history. It was founded in Purdue University, West Lafayette, Indiana, and has its national headquarters at Alexandria, Virginia, and founded April 1975. They celebrated 50 years this year. Our mission is very simple: to ensure our members excel academically, grow as leaders, and help them have great careers. And it's open to anyone who supports our mission, any major and background. And we're looking to most students always express interest in mentorship, study groups, and even industry contacts. And we believe that our aim is to support their needs through our efforts, and hopefully have some tech workshops, outreaches, 23 hours at Sioux Falls for Believe in Girl Scouts events where we sensitize Girl Scouts on STEM. It was very interesting to see them interact with a STEM camera to stack up boxes virtually, and a girl wouldn't just give up. But it was fun, and we're very passionate about stuff like that, so we're hoping to do that. And hopefully partner with other clubs and the university to serve a wider community. And we are looking to elect committed officials to have a clear-cut plan for fundraising and hopefully proper governance. We do have already our faculty advisor here, Isaac Boise. And yeah, please recognize National Society of Black Engineers so we can serve students right away. Thank you. Any questions?
Do you plan on joining the Joint Engineering Council then as a club within the college?
Yes, so we will definitely be open to collaborating with any organization who identify with, like with NSBE. So pretty much what NSBE is focused on STEMs, but primarily for Blacks and African Americans. So we want to be able to work with and collaborate with other organizations. Yes.
So I did a little background research. There's a conference because this is a national organization.
Yes.
Do you guys plan on attending that conference? And then how would you go about paying for that?
Yes, that's a great question. We do plan on attending the conference, and some of the ways that we do plan on raising that is through funding from from within here as well, and as well as from being membership as well. And we do have the national conference and the regional conference. So what that does is it gives us the opportunity to be able to go out there and connect with other organizations and be able to see what is out there for the students here. And also for the regional ones as well, be able to connect with regional organizations for internships and like full-time jobs for the students, yeah.
Any further questions for Ms. Peter?
Just want to add that this will be a way to improve retention as far as students being motivated to stay in school and make it all the way through graduation. Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve this constitution? Senator Christoffels. Senator Christoffels, first right to debate.
I really think that this constitution, is gonna serve, SB very well. I think that they're gonna provide a lot of opportunities for many students on campus, to excel in engineering careers and to be able to develop, their future careers as engineers, like they said, with regional, conferences and national conferences. So I think it's very important that we approve.
Further discussion on this constitution? Seeing none, we will move on to a roll call vote. Q. Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Senator Anderson.
Aye.
Barnett.
Aye.
Bolweg.
Aye.
Fry.
Aye.
Christoffels.
Aye.
Derenge.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Howell.
Aye.
Jensen.
Aye.
Campson abstains. Lopez. Mollison.
Aye.
Paudel.
Aye.
Pulse.
Aye.
Roca.
Aye.
Shemek.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Stein.
Aye.
Werfa.
Aye.
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Aye.
Chief of Staff Peterson. Aye. Vice President Cira.
Aye.
And the ayes have it. The National Society of Black Engineers at South Dakota State University's constitution is approved. All right, similarly, we will move on to the Bison Club constitution. You guys are welcome to come up.
Hi, my name is Hunter Knight, and this is Logan. We are representing Bison Club. With Bison Club, we're hoping to get as many kids as we can across all majors through the school that are interested in anything related to bison, all different research programs, stuff like that. We want to get them as many educational experiences as we can, do tours and speakers, such things like that. And then we also want to get integrated into the community best we can, do fundraising events, different stuff with like Hobo Days, stuff like that. We just want to get integrated as best we can and get kids as many opportunities and experiences as they can related to bison. Are there any questions?
Do you plan on affiliating with the College of Ag or any specific college? And then if so, how are you planning on getting funding for your club?
We have not thought about that yet, but it is in our future discussion.
How many students do you have interested in the club?
As of right now, we have 9. Once we get done here, hopefully we can get more advertising, in a word, just try and get all around campus, getting the word out about the club, and hopefully get a lot more.
Okay, for your Article 3 about membership on Section 3, subsection B, it says Are you members of the SHSU student chapter? I'm assuming it's meant to be SDSU?
Yes. Must have missed a typo. Any other questions?
Yes, to be honest with you, I have to admit I'm worried about a potential threat of infiltration. So do you, as a potential club, solemnly swear to go into a period of dormancy in a couple of weeks when we play NDSU?
I swear.
Do you have a faculty advisor lined up?
We do. He's standing in the back there. Phil Urso.
Do you guys plan on hosting events or just meetings, or like what is that kind of?
We're hoping to, in the future, host events. It's just kind of in the air what kind of events we will, and then just a lot of meetings that we can try and get as many experiences as we can. In the future, it is in the talk.
Since we're on the east side of the state, Buffalo bison is not really popular to extent. How do you plan on going about the tours idea?
So there are a few bison ranches that are within our vicinity. There's a bison ranch in Watertown. There's some near Sioux Falls. So we do have the availability within some close range to do a couple different tours.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to approve this constitution? Senator Stein.
Second.
Senator Stein, first right to debate.
Yeah, so I'm not super familiar with bison and all that, but I do think this club would be a great complement to our newly added bison studies minor. So it could open up an opportunity for a lot of other students across campus, especially if they start to get word out.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll move on to a roll. Seeing none, we'll move on to a roll call vote. Chief of Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Vice President Sierra.
Aye.
Chief of Staff Peterson, aye. Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Aye.
Senators Warfa.
Aye.
Stein.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Shemek.
Aye.
Roca.
Aye.
Pulse.
Aye.
Paudel.
Aye.
Mollison. Lopez.
Aye.
Campson. Oh, abstains. Jensen.
Aye.
Howell.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Darrench.
Aye.
Christoffels.
Aye.
Bry.
Aye.
Bolweg. Barnett.
Aye.
Anderson.
Aye.
The ayes have it. The Bison Club Constitution has passed. Just want to let you guys know, we would recommend amending the typo at your discretion, but all right, we'll move on to open forum item 3, the Art Club Constitution. Please come up.
Hi, I'm Elise Seals, and I am the president of Art Club, and this is our faculty advisor, Christy Weaver. And we are interested in starting an art club so we can foster positive relationships between individuals interested in the visual arts and design. We want to exchange ideas, have open critiques for classes, and have lots of experiences associated with the visual arts and design. And we want to create an awareness of and promote visual arts and design on the SDSU campus. Are there any questions?
I'm not familiar with other clubs. There's clubs similar to this that already exist. Is there anything that's gonna be like a lot of overlap? I think a lot of collaboration.
Yeah, so there is one club that we're interested in collaborating with, and that is the Graphic Design Club, and that also operates within Grove Hall. So we do want to get in contact with that club, but there's not going to be tons of overlap just because we do tend to reach out to different groups of people, but there will be enough that we're interested in collaborating. Oh, yes.
How many people are interested in your club?
So right now we have just under 20 interested. Yes.
Hi. I'm curious if you guys anticipate any, positive community involvement or outreach or things that you want to, like projects that you guys want to do as a club.
Yeah, we've talked about doing collaborative work as artists and trying to get our voices out there and show that there is an art community on campus. We're not sure what that's going to look like yet, but we are excited to talk about it.
Is there a motion to approve this club constitution? Chief of Staff Peterson?
So
Chief of Staff Peterson, first right to debate.
Yeah, so first of all, Elise is my CA, so I get to see all of her beautiful art in the hallway, and I just think that this is a really great idea. I do think that having an art club would allow more students to get involved. Honestly, I don't know much about any of the art stuff on campus, and so I think it would be really great for students to find ways to collaborate through this club, and I'm really excited to see what kind of activities they put on for the public, because I think that could be a really fun. Please pass.
Senator Howell.
In the interest of expediency, if there were no objections, could we vote by general consent?
Seeing none, we'll move on to a voice vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The art club is approved. All right, moving on to committee and staff reports, starting with myself. If you are members of the Finance Task Force, which include Senator Shemmick, Stein, Christoffels, Chief of Staff Peterson, Vice President Sierra, and Finance Chair Delahoyd, I sent out a Outlook invite. Please accept that for this Friday, when we will have our first meeting to discuss introductory goals and plans for the committee. In addition, we also established our accessibility task force after last meeting, with Senator Pulse and Senator Duncan being on that, including Megan Rezak, our student that invited us as well, or that came to Senate as well. And then, in addition, Vice President Sierra and I met with Dr. Willis on Thursday for our first meeting of the year and went through some great topics. End of report, Vice President Sierra.
Yep, updated committee assignments are emailed out and posted in the office. If you know of any grad students that would be interested, I have 3 seats that I need filled by grad students still. I have a few of them filled, but I need 3 more. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Point of order.
Senator Stein?
Public comment section, do we have an option? Or
I'm sorry, I apologize.
I'm
I'm
so
sorry.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
I'm sorry. Are there any members of the public that would like to address the Senate tonight? Okay, I sincerely apologize. Vice President Sierra.
Yep, so if you know of any grad students, please email me tonight, let me know. Otherwise, I'll be reaching out and finding some. I attended the Faculty Senate meeting last Tuesday, and then on Wednesday, October 1st, the Board of Regents Housing and Meal Plan Survey is getting sent out. So please fill that out and let everybody else know. There's table tents around a majority of buildings around campus and posters that have been put up. You get $5 a hobo dough if you fill it out. So there is some incentive to do it. So please fill it out. Report.
Chief of Staff Peterson.
Yes, so I let you guys know last week that I signed us up for Paint the Town. I have yet to hear what business we have, but as soon as I find out, I will let everybody know. That will most likely be this weekend sometime, so just be looking in your emails and be looking in the group me, because probably that's where that will be communicated. Also, talking about Hobo Day, Bumma Meal is next Monday, and I'm going to assume that everyone is going to be there, and if you're not going to be there, you need to let me know tonight, because I still need to sign us up, and as they said, that needs to happen really fast. So if you're not going to be at Bumma Meal on Monday, let me know. Our meeting is going to start at 7:30. At 7:30 instead of 7, because Bumma Meal starts at 6 technically. So just be aware of that. Also, Bumma Meal is hobo attire, so our meeting next week will be hobo attire. If you don't have hobo attire, you can sure wear business professional, but I encourage you all to wear hobo attire. Also, we're going to be participating in Bum Over. So if you want to come to that, that's on Tuesday night. And then this week, I am meeting with the interim dean of the Honors College, Greg Heiberger, to discuss the next steps for the Honors College ex officio. And I attended the Cafe's Prexy Council meeting today. Finance Chair Delahoy?
Some news, Deb G will be out all of October and most of November, so that means we won't have much for finance things back. A lot of our bills will kind of be delayed with that, so if you're wanting any reports on finance stuff, probably won't have it, because she is gonna be out. There's gonna be some people that'll try to help fill her spot, but, that's kind of big for all of our student clubs and organizations, she runs all of that, so she'll be back mid-November-ish. I helped put on with the Office of Student Activities, the RSO Finance Summit this last Friday. It featured 3 speakers talking about different aspects of finance and was targeted towards our student clubs on campus. The speakers included Deb G talking about the do's and don'ts of club spending, Sodexo on how to cater and pay for food on campus, and then myself talking about SA Finance and applying for funding. About 10 clubs showed up, and we received 3 additional new venture applications from that. That will be presented to the Finance Committee later this fall. We also received a Student Promotion Fund inquiry from that. Reminder that the Finance Committee meets this Wednesday and report.
Government Affairs Chair Hunt.
Last week, I attended the second budget workshop for the Brookings City Council. This specifically focused on the fire and police departments and how they're utilizing their funding. They more specifically talked about the new firehouse that will be going in. It'll be going in the parking lot of the original firehouse that is still standing right now. They also discussed their new composting pilot program, which will be starting October 13th. And our Student Promotion Fund Committee will be meeting next Thursday, October 9th. As of right now, we have 1 application, but there are currently 3 outstanding applications. The agenda will be posted. End of report.
Communications Chair Ringenberg.
The rabbit report was sent out this morning. It included information about the housing and meal plan survey as well as upcoming Hobo Day events. New senator headshots are scheduled for this Friday, the 3rd at 6 p.m. New senators, please meet in the SA office on time dressed in business professional attire.
Diversity Liaison Alex.
I attended ASA's Arts and Crafts event last week. It was pretty fun, and tomorrow, LASA will be having a keynote speaker in the Crest Room from 6 to 7 p.m. And if you are in the Diversity and Inclusion Committee, please look out for an email regarding our meeting time availability. Email me with any questions.
All right, we'll move on to ex officios, beginning with AFA.
There's a meeting tomorrow at 7, and I'm discussing Hobo Week with our Paint the Town and our float.
AISA.
Yeah, tomorrow we have our Every Child Matters event at the McCoy Gardens at 4:30. And then Thursday, we're just celebrating everyone's birthdays for October. So.
DSA.
Last week we had a meeting on Thursday and we were just talking about the name change for the multicultural center over there, and that was pretty informational. And then we're also just talking about all the Hobo Day events and what we're gonna do with those, and if there's any for that end of report.
GSA.
We will just be having our regular weekly meeting on Wednesday at 6. End of report.
IRC.
The African Student Association reported that last Thursday they had their arts and crafts night with
LASA. United Council.
Old Greek Life as an alcohol awareness speaker this Thursday, and we've also been very pleased to see the result of the tabling in the union for these Hands Don't Haze last week. It's pretty cool to see all those hands up on the window on Main Street in the union.
United Council.
Hi, I'm Melody. I'm just filling for Government Affairs for CPH. Similar report to him. The only difference is next week we should, either this week or the next 2 weeks, we should have an official Government Affairs representative.
UPC.
So last week we had an undergraduate research opportunity where professors came and talked about different research that they had available. And that went really well. And then we also had last Wednesday a Jack's Hammock Hangout, which was a really well run event. And now this Saturday, we're taking students to Chanhassen Dinner Theater. And it's $15 a ticket, and the show we're going to see is Grease. So please sign up. And a report.
All right, we'll move on to advisors, starting with Dr. Schmidt.
No report.
Dr. Willis.
Just a short report, so I'll be headed out to Spearfish tomorrow. We do have the grand opening of the West River Health Sciences Center that is a collaborative partnership between Black Hills State University and SDSU College of Nursing. So we're pretty excited about the ribbon cutting and grand opening of the expanded facility there. Our nursing program has been growing in that partnership, and we're excited to see that continue to grow. I believe by spring, they will likely have over 300 nursing students in Rapid City at that site, which is pretty exciting. So we'll be headed out there for the ribbon cutting and then also the board meeting, which is later this week. We have Student Affairs Council on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, we will be there for the board meeting. And so excited about that opportunity to head out to West River and engage with the board and with our colleagues. In addition, I've been, as our representative from BSA mentioned, I've been attending several programs or several meetings. I attended GSA and BSA over the last week to talk about the student engagement transition, and I'll be at LASA this week to talk about that and answer questions for those student organizations as well. The Student Engagement Center transition will happen this week. October 1st is kind of our goal to make the cut over to the new organizational structure, but again, as Provost Hedge and I did share when we came and presented to Students Association, it will take some time to have all the moving parts working and moving forward in the same direction, but we're excited to make that transition here yet this week. And then the final thing that I will say is you guys will be voting on and reviewing some new venture applications. I don't want any of this to, any of my comments to reflect on any of the new venture applications that are here. What I would like to share with you is just a couple of things. One is that Students Association has about $95,000 in unallocated funds in your Unit 3 account. That was done intentionally so that you had opportunities not only to increase the resources of the existing student organizations that are funded through your Unit 3 funding opportunities, but also to consider new student organizations to go on that annual budget. There's a lot of new faces in this room, and so I think it's really important for you to understand as you go into reviewing the new venture requests, you will, if you look back in prior years, you aren't going to see a lot of approvals of new ventures, and that is because they do go, if you approve them, then they will go on your general budgeting for Unit 3 student organizations starting the spring for next year. So whatever you approve at this meeting and in future meetings this year will go on to your general Unit 3 budget permanently. And so think about that $95,000-ish that you have available. Those dollars will go pretty quickly if you approve every new venture that comes forward. You also have some timing things to consider. You have 3 new ventures that are being considered at this meeting, but do all the student organizations know that you are accepting new venture requests and what that means? If you do some good communication out, I would anticipate you will get quite a few more new venture requests. And so I would just urge caution and strategic intent as you review new venture requests, because again, this goes on your base budget, and to remove it from your base budget, you have to make a budget cut and cut organizations out of that. You do also have organizations that likely have had inflation happen to the organizations and it hasn't been able to be funded because you haven't had enough resources available in that Unit 3 to
increase resource requests for those student organizations. So as you go forward, and I think this is a message that Dr. Schmidt and I usually give as you're considering new ventures, I would encourage you to really think about what you want to fund in terms of new ventures. Do you want to fund travel? Do you want to fund student organizations that are going to be bring programs to your university community that are open to all students? Do you want to fund food for student organization events? What is it that you want to prioritize for new venture requests? And I mean, maybe it's you want to prioritize academic student organizations or social student organizations. I think those are some conversations this body needs to have as you're considering new venture requests, because again, the decisions that you make have long-lasting impact and are difficult to go back on. And so I just urge some caution and some strategic intent as you review those. And that has absolutely nothing to do with the 3 organizations that have put forward the new venture requests. They have some really great ideas, I'm certain, but just know that whatever decisions you make on those do have lasting impacts. And if you fund these organizations, you have less resources to fund other requests that may come forward over the course of this year and next year and following years. The last thing that I will say is, as the GAF strategic plan was developed and there was an intention to have excess funding for new ventures, but also for existing organizations, the plan was to pace that out over several years. And so that $95,000 that is available, there was a reason and intention behind not allocating all of that in this year's budgeting cycle, leaving some for this year, leaving some for next year and the following year, so that you can consider other student organizations as you go forward, as well as considering inflationary increases. So think about those things as you're going forward in considering new venture requests. Again, you guys have the full ability to make really informed decisions on these, but those are just a few things that you need to keep in mind as you're going forward with considering new venture requests. With that is all I have to share. So, good luck.
Are there any committees that would like to report out tonight? Chief of Staff Peterson?
The library committee met last week on Tuesday. We went over the library committee charter, and then we focused on some key goals for fiscal year 2026, which include library modernization, which is kind of a difficult thing to do because the library has a very tight budget and they don't have a foundation representative to achieve fundraising. So it's kind of hard to update a library when you don't have a lot of money to. But we did vote to approve, they have this library enhancement fund that gets $5,000 every year that they can spend on whatever they want to enhance the library. So we voted to get some more of those rolly whiteboards that everyone really loves because I like them as well. So that's exciting. And then goal number 2 is pursuit of R1, which right now there's not a lot we can do, but we're going to keep that in discussion. Goal number 3 is artificial intelligence, which if you guys weren't aware, there is an artificial intelligence committee. I don't know much about it, but they did say that there was a request for a library representative to be on that committee and it was declined. So they're working towards getting someone to represent the library on there. Also, textbook availability is another goal. For those of you who don't know, the library has the ability to buy textbooks for classes so that students can get them for free. So if you've taken a class that you haven't had to buy a textbook for and it's just on your D2L, your professor provides that because the library paid for it. And they really want to focus on getting this out to students because I didn't even know about this until last week. But turns out they saved more than $250,000 for students because of this program, and they only spent $10,000. So keep that in perspective. Also, they said that it has happened, students have gotten their textbooks paid for simply by going to the bookstore and saying, you guys should really consider, because they work with the bookstore to do it as well. So they say you guys should really consider buying this textbook. The bookstore goes to the library, and so all it takes is one student. Yes, so just be aware of that, spread the word. And then the other goal is open access because they help graduate students and professors publish without paying fees, and they've saved over $60,000 on that. And then they also talked about possibly extending hours on Sunday. and the state library funding, which was a huge thing with the legislature last year, and it will be again this year. From what I understand, everything through fiscal year 2026 has been funded, and next year is just a huge question mark. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask me, and I might be able to answer them. End of report.
Finance Chair Hunt, or Government Affairs Chair Hunt.
Last Thursday, the Government Affairs Committee met as a request from a city council member. We discussed House Bill 1130, and there will be a resolution hopefully next week that we'll discuss about it.
Senator Warfa.
The Academic Affairs Committee met today. We have some few discussions. There's about 4% increment in doctoral studies. We had more PhD students coming in. But about 120 students are not able to join, so they have to defer their programs due to visa issues in their home country. And also professional science, masters in professional science has been requested to, graduate school have requested to terminate that program because of low enrollment. Currently, they have just 3 students in that program, and so those 3 students will be allowed to finish their program, but they are going to terminate that program going forward. End of report.
Any other committees that would like to report out tonight? Seeing none, are there any questions for any of the reports tonight? Chief of Staff Peterson.
Senator Warfa, what did you say what program was going to be terminated?
Professional science.
Okay, thank you.
Master of Science, professional science. Yeah, MS in professional science.
Further questions for any reports tonight? All right, seeing none, we will move on to unfinished business. Would anyone request that this item be read in full? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve this item? Chief of Staff Peterson?
So moved. Second.
Chief of Staff Peterson, first by Tiffany.
I would really like this to pass. I have had lots of emails with Noah over the last few weeks. As you guys saw, he's very enthusiastic about this, and I think that's great. It is a hard thing to say that in the future years they're going to continue to be this enthusiastic, but I think that if we establish this right now with someone who's as enthusiastic as Noah, I think that this could be a really great thing, and he will encourage people in the future to continue that enthusiasm. I just think this could be a really great thing. Ex officios provide a lot of benefit to our Senate, and this year one of our goals is to increase senator and ex officio involvement. So by getting more ex officios, that only helps that goal. I ask you guys all to vote yes.
Further discussion? Senator Bolwig?
Yeah, I feel like he kind of sold himself out there saying, like obviously he's a very passionate guy, came up there, talked to us, gave us a whole spiel, but he kind of sold himself out, and I just don't want this to be like full circle for that position. What did he say? I guess he kind of put it like, yeah, there's not a lot of people below us that really care that much, and I don't know if anyone else got that, but so don't want this to happen again, be a consistent problem.
Finance Chair Delahoyd?
I was a member of RHA for 2 years. I will say one thing they really have done is they've kind of expanded where they all represent. So now Southeast Apartments and some of the off-campus things that are owned by housing that you may not know are owned by housing. I can't remember what they all are off the top of my head, are now part of RHA. So with the addition of like Southeast Apartments and stuff, right now their president's a junior. So they are able to start kind of expanding that upwards towards getting to be able to stay a little bit longer and do some of those things. But they do fill their board every year. So I wouldn't say that that's a huge concern. But I do think that as long as they know that needs to be a priority, that's reiterated that they wouldn't have a problem.
Senator Shenick?
I just want to say I think more representation is always good. I think RHA represents a very big interest group, and I think it makes a lot of sense to have them at this table. I think that if they're going to start this with anybody, I think Noah's a good option. Like Emma mentioned, a lot of enthusiasm. I think he's probably going to be a good one to carry forward through other years. Like you said, you can't tell the future, but I think he'll do good things. I think we should approve this.
Further discussion? Seeing none, I will note that this needs a 2/3 vote. Chief of Staff Peterson, will you please call the roll?
Senator Anderson.
Aye.
Barnett.
Aye.
Bolweg.
Nay.
Fry.
Aye.
Christoffels.
Aye.
Darrench.
Aye.
Duncan.
Aye.
Holland.
Aye.
Howell.
Abstain.
Jensen.
Aye.
Campson abstains. Lopez.
Aye.
Mollison.
Aye.
Paudel.
Aye.
Pulse.
Aye.
Roca.
Aye.
Schemick.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Stein.
Abstain.
Warfa.
Aye.
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Aye.
Chief of Staff Peterson, aye. Vice President Sierra.
Aye.
All right, and the ayes have it. The RHA ex officio written request has been approved. Moving on to new business, beginning with item A, the Robotics Club New Venture application. Is there a motion to approve this application? Finance Chair Delahoyd.
I move to approve on behalf of the Finance Committee to approve the robotics application.
Second.
All right.
Point of order, there is no second required because it is coming out of committee.
Finance Chair Delahoyd, first right to debate.
So first thing I'll say is we do not have a budget philosophy yet. That is something, this is not associated with robotics yet. Budget philosophy is what we'll follow to know everything that we go on. That'll come to us next week. Finance Committee is finalizing that this week. So we'll have that next week. That'll kind of tell us what our priorities are. That's really a huge document that we will use in March when we have our allocation day and we actually allocate funding to these clubs. Right now, we are just approving them. We're not approving them. We are not allocating any sort of money directly to them unless it is a special request. I'll also make the comment of, you'll notice there's a lot of engineering clubs that may be coming through. That's partly because of Dean Kumar's recent decision to require all engineering clubs to apply for SA funding before they can apply for funding from the College of Engineering. So we are going to see a lot more of that. With that request though, and command from him, he will also match any funding that we give to clubs from the college. So kind of a double-edged sword of we're going to get a lot more College of Engineering requests and stuff because of that. It's now required for them to get funding, but also he's going to help fund half of their things. So we're not going to be funding them maybe quite as much, especially for some of those that have already come through. First, I'll start with the Robotics Club. So they have a letter written to the Students Association from their department head that I'll read. Dear Students Association, on behalf of the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science Department, I am pleased to provide a letter of support for continued Student Association funding for the Robotics Club. The Robotics Club is one of the largest multidisciplinary student organizations on campus with over 40 active members from all majors across the Jerome J. Lohr College of Engineering. As noted below, the Robotics Club has had strong achievements which showcase the quality of both students and the educational opportunities at South Dakota State University. First, the VEXU competition team qualified for the 2025 World Championships in St. Cloud, Minnesota, placing first overall among 9 teams and earning an Excellence Award, Skills Award, and Design Award. Second, the Collegiate Combat Robotics team placed in the top 3rd against 96 other teams. And third, the Mate ROV submarine also had a very successful year. The team completed a functioning ROV that was capable of successfully completing tasks at the Rocky Mountain Regional in Longmont, Colorado. While the core mission of the club is, of course, robotics, the club recognizes the need to connect with and promote both engineering and SDSU to the community. Hosted a middle school, high school VEX 5 state championship at SDSU, brought hundreds of potential engineering students to campus, promoted SDSU and engineering to K-12 engineers, presented the topic of engineering and robotics to Renner Elementary School students, and participated in an elementary night for the Levitt in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. The Robotics Club has made a significant impact on promoting SDSU on campus, regionally, and across the nation at competitions. I'm confident that the continued student station funding is a worthwhile investment. Please feel free to contact me with any further questions. Sincerely, Sung-Yun Jung, Department Head of the Department of Electrical Engineering and Computer Science.
Chief of Staff Peterson.
I would also like to add that while the budgeting philosophy has not been passed yet, we did write it before approving any of these clubs. So for those of you who are not on Finance Committee,
we kept the budgeting philosophy in mind while we were approving these clubs. And yes, it still needs to get passed through the Senate, but we didn't just approve these clubs and then decide what we're gonna fund, just so you're all aware. Dr. Willis?
Yes, I want to clarify one thing, and that is within your policy for new venture requests, the finance committee, that approves this, it does say the finance committee will vote on a recommended allocation. This recommendation could be the full requested amount, part of the requested amount, or none of the requested amount. Then it's heard by Students Association. The representative from the student organization should attend to answer any questions from the Senate and provide background information about the request. After the discussion by the Senate will vote on the recommended allocation. So you are in fact voting not just to approve them as a new venture, but also to approve a specific dollar amount allocation. And so I want to make sure you understand that that you are actually voting to approve a specific dollar amount allocation. If the budgeting or if the finance committee has not recommended an allocation with their approval, then I would strongly encourage you to send it back to the finance committee because that's part of the process. So this group has requested $5,000. Has the finance committee recommended that you fund them at $5,000 at this point in time for this year? Because that's what you're doing right now. If you have not made a recommendation in the finance committee to actually fund at a certain dollar amount, then the finance committee has not actually done the work that they need to in order to bring this forward to the Students Association.
Senator Barnett?
I move to send the robotics club new venture fund request back to the finance committee.
All right, are there any discussion? Finance Chair Delahoyd?
I will add though, for the sake of not repeating anything, Cyrus Nelson from the Robotics Club is here tonight though, so if you have any questions about their club or anything like that, he is here to answer any of those, just so we do not have to have him come back.
Would you like me to come up to the podium if needed?
If anybody has any questions about their
Do you
club.
have any questions?
Senator Barnett?
This is just a question. Won't he have to come back for the Senate when we?
Notably in the
Yes.
bylaws? Yes.
Okay.
Senator Howell?
Yeah, this is more probably question to ask of the group here, right? Of obviously not being on the finance committee when this was, moved through the committee. But am I correct, and Finance Chair Delahoyd, that it was unanimously recommended? The finance committee unanimously recommended the full amount. Okay. So it has gone through the finance committee. So then my next question is, why send it back if it has already? If it's already gone through the finance committee, I don't know if it's under correct uses of resources to send that back, especially when I know there's going to be more new venture funds that are going to come through the finance committee.
Finance Chair Delahoyd?
So, yeah, I think that was more of a misunderstanding in the fact that how we read it was that we only needed to approve it if we were giving them funding for this year. But it was unanimously decided to approve their application, but that was with the understanding of we would allocate a final amount in the spring, that we are not required to allocate that final amount now based on our understanding of the bylaws and how they read. So we technically voted to zero fund them for immediate funding and to approve their application to allocate funding for them in the spring.
Dr. Schmidt?
You can pass a zero fund request, actually. That's technically okay. I'm not sure that's what you want to do. You guys got to think about that, but you could recommend passing a zero fund, because that's one of the options in the bylaws.
Senator Barnett?
I have a question for either Dr. Willis or Supervisor Schmidt. So if let's say we zero funded them right now, when it comes time to allocate them a certain amount in the spring, would we as a Senate vote on that amount again? Or by zero voting them today, are we saying we pass whatever amount the finance committee would like to allocate them in the spring.
Advisor Schmidt.
I would say, and you can chime in too, but I would say if you pass them to be in the budget process with zero funds, spring, you could allocate them part of the budgeting process, whatever you want. And the way that'll work is the finance committee will suggest funding for all of the orgs at one time. And that'll come before the entire Senate as a whole spreadsheet with all the funds balanced and everything. That's quite possible that you could do that, in which case they would get no funds this year, but they would be in the budget cycle and they would receive funds for the next fiscal year if you decided to allocate funds to them.
I agree.
Senator Stein.
Just a quick question, I guess, clarification for our advisors. If we decided to go that route, I guess my question is there a more proper way to do so? Would it be better to send them back to the finance committee to decide on a recommended dollar amount for funding? Or would it not matter if we decided to zero fund them now and decide that in the spring?
I think what matters is what was the finance committee's motion that they approved? If they moved to approve the new venture with a $0 funding, then that's what's being heard before the Senate today. If they simply approved the new venture and didn't address funding, then I do question, what they actually approved. And I think that's important for you guys to consider. Now, you can do it, and it is allowable and perfectly okay to do a new venture request funded at $0 by this body. And then they get to present a budget in the spring budgeting process and vie for funding. And that is perfectly okay to do. And it might actually be a really good process to consider when you are thinking about a whole bunch of new organizations coming on your general budget through new venture requests. I think it's an interesting way to approach it, and I think it could work. So I don't see anything that would stop you from that.
Advisor Schmidt.
Just to add on to, and I don't want to belabor it, but you do have the option also when the finance committee presents or recommends, you have the option of amending that on the floor of the Senate. It's happened many times over the years where the Senate amends it to $0 or they might more or less. So you have that option. I'm not saying you need to exercise it, but that's another thing. You don't have to just take what they give and say yes or no. You can do amendments just like anything else if you chose to.
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
I will say it was the understanding of the committee to zero fund them with the ability to allocate it in the spring. You read back in our minutes. So while it doesn't exactly say that in my little bit of cover letter there, you will see when you read like the Institute of Transportation Engineers one later, but I do specify the exact amount. That was because I just didn't put $0 on there and just had it more of an inferred thing of we're not giving them a money amount since we didn't allocate it. So it was the understanding of the Finance Committee when they voted on it that it was a $0 and that it would be allocated in the spring, so that we had more flexibility in the spring. We're not locking ourselves in with any sort of money amount now.
Parliamentary inquiry. What motion's on the floor right now? What's the wording of the current motion?
The last motion that was motioned and seconded was to send this back to the Finance Committee, but previously the motion that was on the floor was simply to approve this request or recommendation. Senator Howell.
Okay, after that clarification and hearing from the advisors, I do a couple things here, and this could go into making another motion later that wouldn't be in order right now, but I do think there probably is a lot of value in not putting all of our eggs in one basket too early. If we consider, right, if we were to pass the motions in the current form today, right, that's about $9,200 of that, $95,000 budget. So that's 10% when we've been in session in school for about a month. So I think that's pretty premature, especially with a lot of new venture requests that are likely coming, and knowing that more of them are going to come from the College of Engineering and other colleges as well. So I do think I like the approach of, I have no objection to kind of doing a $0 approval of these. And then once we've seen all of these, right, just my worst fear is that we're going to get something, in January or February that's a great new venture that we all feel really strongly about. And we're going to have allocated those funds. We're going to say, well, we're out, right? So I do think there's a lot of value in maybe considering doing a $0 funding, and then that can all go through the process when we have that budgeting philosophy, which I also think is really important. I don't think we should do anything before the entire Senate has seen that, but I do think there probably is some value in doing that $0 request, and then everything can go through the process at once, and we can say, well, we weighed all these options, we think all these are great proposals, but we can start to rank in order of importance once we have that budgeting philosophy of what we think is most important. So I just think to act on these motions in their current form now, I think we're just a little premature early in the year to start to allocate that large amount of funds, right, before we've even hit October. So, yeah.
Senator Christoffels.
I think it's important to note that the finance committee, when we were approving these, we were sending them to budget philosophy. We weren't immediately approving any funds as of how we understood it as a finance committee. So I think that's important to take in as a Senate, is that we're not giving these clubs like funding immediately. So we're not giving all of our money and putting all of our eggs in one basket right now. What we're doing is like taking the possibility of putting those eggs in one basket.
But parliamentary inquiry, am I incorrect in saying in the way that those motions are currently worded, that if we pass those motions today, that would guarantee that they are in the budget? Because I've heard contradicting arguments from the finance chair and then the advisors and how this process is working. So I think we all just need clarification of, if we pass this motion, just say it's in their current form, are they in the budget in the spring for $5,000, yes or no?
Advisor Willis, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they are not in the budget for $5,000. They would be currently funded, and I would just like to clarify this for all the Senate, as I sit as an ex officio, not a voting member, an ex officio member of the Finance Committee. Our intent behind this was to increase the amount of clubs we fund on campus, not the amount necessarily, but we wanted to diversify the areas we reach on campus. These clubs were told this in that they understood the $0 amount was an option. The Finance Committee did that $0 option so that with our budgeting philosophy established and our other new venture applications heard, in the spring we can make educated decisions to get the best clubs and the most realistic clubs on our spring budget with how we reach on campus. So I would just, again, like to clarify that the Finance Committee did have intent behind zero funding and sending them to the general budget, and notably they will not be funded $5,000 immediately. There will be zero funded, and you can see that in the minutes if we are inclined to pull them up, that the motion was zero funded and send to general budget allocation. Senator Barnett.
I guess I apologize for any confusion I unfortunately did not see the minutes. I'm not sure if they were sent out and I completely missed them. But I guess the reason I had motioned to move it back to Finance Committee was because I personally did not feel that it was clear that we were zero funding them based on the PDF present in our agenda today. I thought the way I read it, there wasn't any dollar amount, and so I had made the assumption that we were voting to fund them the full amount. I wholeheartedly agree with what Senator Howell said. I think that it's an interesting new approach that's not been done before, but I think it's a great way to not put all of our eggs in one basket while still promoting new student groups, new venture funds being taken out. But I think there's a lot of value in waiting on this money. It's a lot of money. It's very impactful. And like Dr. Willis said, the people that came before us set this up with specific intentions. And I think we have a lot of responsibility here.
Senator Stein.
You can correct me if I'm wrong on this motion, but I move to defer the vote for all new venture applications until our budgeting philosophy has been passed through this.
Second.
I don't know if that was right, but just so everybody can feel better about.
Do we have to do something with the motion to send it back to Finance Committee before
We would have to rescind those motions, I believe, or we would.
Were you trying to defer like the motion to approve the budget or? Yeah.
I'm saying we should put a pin on this until we pass our budgeting philosophy so everybody is on the same page about what is expected of the Finance Committee.
So, Chief Staff Pearson.
So I believe that, so next Monday is when we're voting on the budgeting philosophy. So the correct motion, if I am correct, would be to lay these on the table. Am I? Well, maybe we can watch.
You can lay on the table, you can lay on the table, you would wanna do that for a certain date, otherwise it kinda dies. You can postpone till a certain date.
Am I correct that postpone definitely would be a wrong way to do this? Okay.
It would kill.
Indefinitely.
Postpone definitely,
Definitely.
not indefinitely.
Do it till next
Yeah, you can do that.
Postpone specific dates.
Senator Barnett.
I motion to rescind my previous motions.
Second.
Point of order.
Senator Howell.
Sorry, the correct motion there would be for her to ask permission to withdraw her motion, and if there was no objection to a withdrawal, it could be withdrawn.
Senator Barnett. Senator Barnett withdraws her motions previously with no objections. All right, moving on. Finance Chair Delahoyd.
I will just make the comment once again of the fact that our representatives from the clubs are here tonight. They are not required to come to this when their thing is voted on. That is in our bylaws. They're encouraged but not required to. So I'll note that they're here tonight, and that they probably won't come next time we vote on this, just because they sat through an hour and a half of meeting for this. So just take note that they are here this time. They probably won't be next time. Don't let that influence your vote for the next time, because like they did sit through already an hour and a half meeting just for this, and I don't want to make them do that again, as it is not required, but is encouraged for them to be.
Chief of Staff Peterson.
I move to postpone the Robotics Club New Venture application, the ITE New Venture application, and the JTech New Venture application to next week's meeting under unfinished business. Second.
Okay. Seeing none, I apologize. We will take this to a voice vote if there is not any discussion.
Second on that.
Yes.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't.
I will open, is there any discussion on this motion? Or I'm sorry, Senator Howell.
Fine, call me what you want. I have a question, and I guess this could lead into an amendment. The budgeting philosophy, yes, comes before the Senate next week, right? Barring any disasters or disagreements about that budgeting philosophy, the earliest we pass it is at the next meeting. And then, maybe shortly after approving that budgeting philosophy, then would then be going into approving these motions. So I guess I would conclude my debate by offering an amendment that it not come before the next regularly scheduled meeting, but the following meeting. So there would be additional time to kind of become familiar with the budgeting philosophy before voting on these new venture applications. So an extension of 2 regular meetings to then take up these motions.
Can you clarify a date?
Sure.
That would be the 20th. Because the 13th, you might not have a meeting.
The 20th, October 20th.
October 20th.
Second.
Senator, okay. Senator Howell, you have the first right to debate. Otherwise, anyone else have any discussion on this motion? Senator Anderson.
Yeah, I'd first like to apologize to the representatives from the clubs. We've done you a great disservice today. The Finance Committee was very clear in our discussion that we would zero fund these clubs. It was gone over multiple times. I can assure you, I asked many questions. We were under the assumption that we would zero fund these. I think it would be of an expedited measure to approve these today, and it would be a service to the representatives that are here today to hear those, and to delay them by 2 weeks would be delaying their funding further and putting them through more of the loopholes. So if we want to cut that, I'm against pushing this past, but that would be a plan to say.
Senator Duncan.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm doing this parliamentarily wrong. But I'd like to move to make this a roll call vote instead of a voice vote.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We were gonna do the voice vote, and then if there was differentiated, we would do a roll call vote, but I do appreciate your addition. It has been requested. It will be a voice vote. Finance Chair Delahoyd.
I will make the comment that if we do delay this by 2 weeks, that will give us another finance committee meeting, in which case we will have 5 or 6 of them on our budget or on our allocations for next week. Take that however you want, or next time, so October 20th, next time we vote on these. So just take that with however that helps you, hurts you, influences you. That's my other comment.
Senator Christopoulos.
Just a question, is there a way in which we can amend the new venture applications to say that more clarity that we are zero funding them now and then approving them in the budgeting when we do big budget marathon in the spring, as to provide clarity for all of the senators? So that way, I believe most of the disagreement comes from not understanding what we're voting on.
Advisor Schmidt.
That clarity will come from your finance chair when he makes a motion for the next one, and he says the recommendation of the finance committee is to zero fund this new venture. That's what the motion could have been tonight. It would have been a lot clearer.
Dr. Willis.
And so once you get past the motion that's currently on the table, which is to postpone, if you don't approve that and you go back to the original motion, you could amend the original motion to be clear that, that you're zero funding. You could do that.
Senator Shemmick.
Okay, just another clarifying question probably for our advisors. So if we were to, when we approve these new ventures, we have to give them a fund, whether it be designated fund or zero funding. Is there any difference between when that fund is received versus when they receive the money from that budgeting marathon that we're putting them on to?
So if you'd vote to fund them now, they would receive funding this fiscal year. If you put them in the budget process, then that budget process starts next fiscal year.
Senator Duncan.
Yeah, I just, I'd like to say, I hear what you guys are saying, Senator Delahoyd and Senator Anderson. And I appreciate your desire to push this through and get it done, get things done efficiently, especially with these wonderful people. I'm sure you're wonderful. I've never actually met you. That being said, it's nothing that you guys are doing wrong. It's not that we don't, want to help out your guys' organizations. Personally, I will be voting yes on the motion to postpone because there have been so many moving parts tonight. There have been so much, I guess to put it in a very blunt term, chaos in the moving parts that we've gone through with this tonight. And without the budget proposal being confirmed, I believe it would be in our best interest and in our wisest interest to postpone, to wait, to let things settle, and then to decide wisely how we should move forward. So I will be voting yes to postpone, and I would encourage you all to do the same.
Senator Christopoulos.
I think it's a good idea that we vote no on this proposal to postpone, because I think it is important that we can get back to the original proposal and we can amend that proposal so that way we can accurately justify what the finance committee approved earlier, and then we can get these through correctly tonight.
Finance Chair Delahoyd.
Clubs, sorry, 100% my fault. Wasn't clear enough, and that's kind of just an experience that's on me. So, yep, my fault that this is taking so long, and that might be a couple of extra weeks. My bad.
So this is definitely out of parliamentary procedure. But what I would say is there any chance we could provide comment on our applications tonight? And then whenever you do vote on applications, on approving applications, you wouldn't need to have us back here so that we can provide comment.
That was something that I mentioned to the Senate earlier, is just to note that you're here. And if they would have a question, since they have chosen to bring this all in one vote together, they could ask you questions that are more than welcome to, but more of it for them to note that you're here, because as I said before, you're not required to come back the next time. And I would probably say that, back next time, because it was an hour and 45 minutes.
Senator Stein.
Given the current motion on the table, I would ask that our representatives who are here tonight come up and explain to us about their new venture fund, answer any questions we have, and then we follow through with the motion to postpone until October 20th till we decide on their new venture fund.
Senator Duncan.
I would like to waive my discussion rights to the club representatives in the public section. If any should like to come up and talk to us and answer questions.
I'm not, sure I want to, we prolong this too much longer for you guys.
Briefly, I would just like to clarify, we have not yet voted on the postponing amendment. So if these clubs come up, I just want to clarify that we still have to approve the amendment to postpone. So nothing is definite yet. I just wanted to clarify that. If you would like to come up, you are absolutely welcome to.
Point of order.
Dr.
The
Willis.
only discussion that can happen right now is on the motion that's on the table to postpone. And so, you can yield your time to them, but their focus in their discussion has to be on the motion to postpone.
I rescind what I just said.
Senator Anderson.
Yeah, so I want to make it very clear. We are moving to zero fund if we vote no on this. We do not postpone. We're going to amend this, so we're zero funding. You will hear the budget philosophy, and we will approve it before the spring, I'm sure. So we don't have to give any dollar amount in the spring. If the budgeting philosophy gets changed and we decide that these clubs should not receive funding, we can continue to zero fund them in the spring. For the expeditiousness of this, I think we should approve today. And if it comes that you guys do not agree with the budgeting philosophy, it doesn't meet the standards, we zero fund in the spring.
Senator Burnett.
I just have a comment. One, I want to thank you guys for coming in tonight, for spending your time. I know that this can get a little crazy. With that in mind, I just want to share that, in my opinion, I do not think it is in our best interest or in the honoring of transparency to vote on this without deciding our budgeting philosophy yet.
Finance Chair Delahoy.
I will take note that I have prepared, similar to what I prepared or spoke about with robotics, things about the other two organizations as well. So if this is delayed and stuff, I would have the ability to, kind of explain that, on their behalf. If they were not here, I wouldn't be able to answer necessarily all the questions, but they have come, they presented to the finance committee. We've taken notes on that, and so we do have the general kind of questions, answered and recorded from them.
Senator Shemmick.
I will speak in favor of what Ben was saying. I think that since we are voting to zero fund them, the importance of having the budgeting philosophy done isn't as great as it will be in the spring when we're actually deciding a dollar amount. I think we have a lot more clarity here than we think of. I think we all see value in kind of zero funding people now, waiting to gather all these applications and then voting on specific dollar amounts later, so we can kind of see the whole picture of kind of the portfolio of clubs that we'd potentially be funding. I think we have more clarity, and I think also for saving our time in the future, I think we can vote on this tonight because we're zero funding and then putting it on until the spring.
Senator Stein.
I move to end debate and I second Senator Howell's motion.
This would be previous question. Okay. So I just want to clarify that the motion on the table, which will be a roll call vote, will be to amend the original motion to postpone this, the items A, B, and C in new business to definitely postpone them to October 20th, 2025. Everyone understand that that's the motion on the table?
Motion
On previous question. All right, we will do previous question as a voice vote. I apologize for my lack of.
Point of order. Sorry, because previous question limits the rights of members, it requires a 2/3 vote.
You can still do that
You
as
can
a
do a
vote.
voice vote.
You can still
Okay.
do it as a voice vote, and
Somebody
if
calls
there's,
division.
yeah.
Okay. We will now conduct a voice vote on the motion. All those in favor of amending the original motion to postpone definitely to October 20th, please
Point of order, you're voting on calling the closing debate. You're voting on previous question right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Don't worry.
You're doing great.
It's okay, it's okay. We will do a voice vote on previous question to end debate. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, we will end debate. Now we will vote on the motion that I just said like 5,000 times. All right, Chief of Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Senator Anderson,
No.
Barnett,
Aye.
Bolweg,
Aye.
Bry,
Aye.
Christoffels,
No.
Derenge,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Holland,
Aye.
Howell,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Campson, abstains, Lopez, Mollison,
Aye.
Paudell,
Aye.
Pulse,
Aye.
Roca,
Nay.
Shemek,
No.
Smith,
Abstains.
Stein,
Aye.
Warfa,
Aye.
Finance Chair Delahoyd,
Nay.
Chief of Staff Peterson, nay, and Vice President Sierra.
All right, the ayes have it, and we will postpone this discussion definitely. Just to clarify, the amendment passed. The amendment passed. So now. We need to vote. I apologize. We will now vote to postpone this definitely to October 20th. We just voted on the amendment of the original motion.
So now, the motion now reads that these will all, the robotics club new venture application, the ITE new venture application, and the JTech new venture application will be postponed definitely to our meeting on October 20th under unfinished business. That's the motion on the table right now.
Let me clarify. We just voted to amend it from we're postponing to we're postponing it to this date. Now we're voting on whether we actually postpone it or not. That's what we're voting on.
Thank you.
Thank you, Staff Peterson. Any further discussion on this? Okay, Chief of Staff Peterson, please call the roll.
Senator Anderson, Barnett,
Aye.
Bolweg,
Aye.
Bry,
Aye.
Christoffels,
Aye.
Derenge,
Aye.
Duncan,
Aye.
Holland, Howell,
Aye.
Jensen,
Aye.
Campson, abstains, Lopez,
Aye.
Mollison,
Aye.
Paudell,
Aye.
Pulse, Roca,
Aye.
Shemek,
No.
Smith,
Aye.
Stein,
Aye.
Warfa,
Aye.
Delahoyd, Finance Chair Delahoyd,
Nay.
Chief of Staff Peterson, aye, Vice President Sierra.
Aye.
Great. It has been, the ayes have it that we will now postpone this conversation of new business items A, B, and C to October 20th, and I don't believe I'm wrong with that. Again, I would just like to thank the club representatives for your time. We appreciate you understanding the democratic process. In addition, thank you to our other members as we will now enter executive session. Our non-voting members, including ex officios and advisors, are dismissed. Thank you for your patience in this as well. You are a very important part of this body. I would now entertain a motion to enter executive session with executive non-voting members. Senator Stein. Right, it has been so moved, or it is moved and seconded. We will enter executive session.